Let's start by addressing a common misconception and mistaken views of humility. Many people think that to be humble, they must put themselves down, undervaluing their achievements, denying their talents, or avoiding recognition. But that's not humility. That's insecurity. Thinking less of yourself means diminishing your self-worth. It means telling yourself you're not good enough, not talented enough, or not deserving of happiness. It can lead to self-doubt, fear of failure, and even depression. On the other hand, thinking of yourself less is liberating. It means you recognize your worth but don't make yourself the center of everything. It means you see beyond your own needs and desires and focus more on serving others with what you have, connecting with the world, and living a life of purpose. So why does this shift in mindset matter? First, it reduces anxiety and overthinking. One of the biggest sources of stress is excessive self-focus. We constantly worry about how others perceive us, whether we are good enough, and if we are making the right decisions. But when we think of ourselves less, we shift our attention to the bigger picture. Instead of overanalyzing our own actions, we focus on contributing, connecting, and growing. Secondly, it strengthens relationships. Have you ever been in a conversation where the other person only talks about themselves? It's exhausting, right? When we think of ourselves less, we become better listeners, more empathetic, and more present. We engage with others in a way that makes them feel valued, heard, and understood. Next, it leads to true confidence. Ironically, when we think of ourselves less, we develop a stronger sense of self. Why? Because confidence doesn't come from self-absorption. It comes from purpose. When we stop obsessing over our flaws and instead invest in things that matter, helping others, mastering our craft, and contributing to the world, confidence naturally follows. Last but not least, it increases our ability to serve and make a difference. The greatest leaders, changemakers, and visionaries don't spend their time obsessing over their own image or how others perceive them. Instead, they focus on how they can serve others. Whether it's in your workplace, community, or family, when you shift your focus outward, you begin to see opportunities to help, inspire, and lead in meaningful ways. Now we understand why this is important. So how can we practice it daily? First, we can try to practice gratitude. Gratitude shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have. Instead of worrying about ourselves, what we are lacking, our insecurities, our struggles, our flaws, we recognize the good in our lives and in others. Start each day by reflecting on 3 things you're grateful for, and over time you'll find that your perspective naturally shifts to find the good in everything. 2. Listen more, talk less. One of the simplest ways to think of yourself less is to actively listen. The next time you're in a conversation, challenge yourself to truly listen, without thinking about what you'll say next, without interrupting, and without making it about you. When we listen deeply, we form stronger connections and learn from others. 3. Serve others without expecting anything in return. Acts of kindness, big or small, help us break free from self-absorption. Volunteer, help a friend, mentor someone, or even do something as simple as holding the door open for a stranger. The more we serve, the more we feel meaningful, the less we feel bad about our imperfections. 4. Take breaks from social media. Social media encourages self-focus, how we look, how many likes we get, how we compare to others. Taking breaks from it allows us to reconnect with real life, focus on meaningful interactions, and shift our attention away from validation seeking. 5. Engage in meaningful work. When we dedicate ourselves to a purpose bigger than ourselves, whether it's our career, our family, or a passion project, we naturally think of ourselves less. We become immersed in what we're creating, giving, and contributing. Find something that excites you, challenges you, and allows you to make a difference. 6. Develop a growth mindset. Instead of worrying about how you're perceived, focus on how you can learn and grow. See mistakes as lessons, failures as stepping stones, and challenges as opportunities. When we focus on learning rather than proving ourselves, we spend less time stuck in self-doubt and more time progressing. 7. Reflect on the bigger picture. Step back and remind yourself of your place in the grand scheme of things. We are part of something much larger than ourselves. Whether you find that perspective in faith, nature, or philosophy, realizing that life is bigger than our personal struggles helps us let go of unnecessary self-focus. Like a famous saying from Clive Staples Lewis, humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. Many of us struggle with self-esteem and humility because we mistakenly believe that being humble means diminishing our worth. But thinking of yourself less is not about losing yourself. It's about freeing yourself. It's about stepping outside of self-doubt, insecurity, and over-analysis, and stepping into a life of confidence, connection, and purpose. When we stop obsessing over ourselves, we open ourselves up to deeper relationships, greater achievements, and a more meaningful existence.